Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. My name is Masweneng Mokolwane Eric from Mpanama Village in Sekhukhune East District, Limpopo Province, South Africa. I am so excited to be part of this session, and I'm so proud to see everyone taking part in this session and to see the attendance from my country and elsewhere in the world. That makes me feel proud. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the organizers, to say, keep it up, because the world is a place where each one of us should play our part, should make sure that we collaborate to bring about better society, better communities, better countries, better continents, and better world. So I am so pleased and I'm so proud of that action that we've undertaken as a collective responsibility of each one of us. Now, I also want to take this opportunity to thank Professor Dr. Sihan El Kafafi. She has been my colleague at the Global Education Network when I was still the Continental Director of Global Education Network in Africa, whereas she's the one in Oceania. So I'm quite excited to have met with you, Ma, and I'm proud of your efforts, your activities, your responsibilities to build a better world. I just want to take us to our theme this session, because our theme in this session is about building capacity for global competence. And that is what has brought us here. I want to rest assure you that transformative roles of teachers will be optimized in this era. In our time, we will definitely arrive at making everyone globally competent. Now, according to the International Commission on the Futures of Education, teaching is a better collaborative profession. That is what everyone knows about it. We are collaborating here, and it is because of teaching that has brought us into this session. Now, teaching is also a lifelong learning journey, wherein our professor has been mentioning that we need to bring about workshop, continuous workshop, consistent workshop, so that we can at least empower one another, either on weekly basis or on monthly basis. Now, teachers would be well equipped to teach remotely. This is one of the most things that can never be avoided. We cannot avoid that we are in the 21st century where each one of us should be able to teach either synchronously or asynchronously. Now, teachers' engagement in decision-making and public debate on education will be improved. We know that there are different barriers that Professor El Kafifi has just mentioned, but we know that we shall overcome. This is one of the hopeful messages that I'm trying to bring to you, or that United Nations has also brought to us. Now, education workforce will be professionalized, trained, motivated, and supported, so teachers can transform themselves and become agents of change. Now, this is one of the most important messages that United Nations is bringing to every one of us, to say we can overcome, we can be professionalized, we can be trained, we can be reskilled, we can elsewhere be motivated to bring about transformative ways, transformative approaches in teaching and learning. Now, for a teacher, or for us to become globally competent, we need to bring about multiple projects or multiple approaches in this profession. Now, what are the features of innovations that we as educators need to do? Number one, openness. We need to be able to listen. We also need to be transparent leaders as educators. We also need our leaders in the education sector to be transparent. We also need to be creative thinkers. So we need creative thinking. So Professor Siham had just mentioned earlier on that time is the most precious resource that we have. So we need to manage our time efficiently. We also need to change our behavior. We also need to cultivate the culture of inquiry, which is questioning. We also need to encourage risk-taking, wherein as educators, we need to try new things out. We know the system might not allow us, but we need to try new things out. We need to renew our innovations. Every day, we need to bring about new ways of approaching. And we also need to renew and reward innovations. Because as leaders in the education sector, if we don't reward those who are bringing about new methods, if we don't give them applause, if we don't give them the rewards, then ultimately their efforts might be hindered because of just a mere thing being not complimented. Now, we also need to challenge the status quo. We can't just say it's okay every time. We just need to bring about an effective ways of saying enough is enough. We need to move on. We need to transition. We need to transform so that our education systems can change. We also need to learn from our mistakes. Like Professor has just mentioned earlier that educators are transformative practitioners. So in so doing, we need to reflect on our activities. We need to reflect on our efforts. We need to reflect on our duties. We need to reflect on our responsibility to check as if or on whether we are making it or we are losing it. Those are some of the most important features that we need to be so that we can enhance global competence through innovation. Now, what are the features of innovations? Now, we spoke about a number of innovative ways in the previous slide, and now we are looking at design thinking methodology. I mean, design thinking methodology will enhance global competence because in so doing, we will be facilitating different ways, different skills that are equivalent to the needs of the 21st century. Now, remember that with design thinking, it is said to be an interactive, a non-linear process which focuses on collaboration between the designer and the user. Meaning that we need to bring about innovative solutions so that we can look at how the users are receiving it, how they feel about it, and how they behave about it, meaning the methodology when I talk about it. Now, when we are applying design thinking methodology, we need to be able to empathize. So how about empathizing? Remember that we need to research about the needs of our clients, the needs of our learners every time. We also need to do what? To define. How about designing? Defining. This is about stating the needs of the clients, which is our learner, and being able to define the problem they are encountering or they are facing on a daily basis. So if we can be able to define the needs of our clients, and then their problems, then we can become good design thinkers. Now, we also need to do what? To ideate. What about ideating? We must challenge the assumptions. We must create ideas. We need to stop it's okay attitude, or it's okay syndrome, or it's okay mentality. We need to stop that. Now, another one is prototype. What about it? We need to bring about solutions. We need to start bringing about solutions towards building a global competent society. We also need to do what? To test. When you test, remember, you are trying to do what? To bring your solution out. And when you are trying to bring your solution out, you are trying to do what? To be reflective on what you are doing. And that on its own will be able to make sure that we become globally competent. Now, here are types of innovations that we need so that we can foster global competence. We need strategy or policy innovations, wherein we need to develop new missions, new objectives, new strategies, and new rationales. We also need service or product innovations, wherein we need to bring about changes in features and design of service or of our product to our clients. We also need delivery innovations, wherein we need to apply new or altered, we need to bring about new or altered ways of delivering service and interaction with our stakeholders, which is between our teachers, our learners, our parents, the SCPs, and other social partners in education. We also need to bring about systems innovations. We need new or improved ways of interacting with other stakeholders and knowledge spaces and changes in governance practices. Now, what about the levels of innovation so that we can become globally competent? We need to be incremental, bring about minor changes to existing services and processes. We also need to be radical at times, bring about new services or ways of doing things in relation to the process of service delivery to our clients, which are our learners. We also need to be transformational or systematic, or systemic, I mean to say. Bring new workforce structure. And how do we bring about new workforce structure? Reskill, train them, bring people who are more innovative. And we also need to be sustaining. Organizations move on to an established trajectory by improving performance on existing services or systems. That is what we need to do as educators. That is what we need to do as a collective group of educators within this group. Now, what are the general capabilities that are needed so that we can become globally competent? There are 3 core capabilities needed to engage in design thinking, which is solution optimism, which is visual expression, which is also collaborative discovery. So these 3 can bring about a design thinking that is more active, a design thinking that brings about solutions, a design thinking that brings about collaboration that the user and the receiver definitely needs. Well, we also need to make sure that through this through empathizing, we reframe. After reframing, remember, to reframe is to redesign what has been there, reshape what has been there. And after reshaping and reframing, we bring about new ideas. New ideas bring about solutions. Think about solutions. And from idea, you bring about prototype and test. Remember, when you prototype, you start to create solutions and you put those solutions to test. That is how we need to be more globally competent educators. But here is a thing that we cannot run away from. We know there are teacher shortages around the world. Yes, we talk about innovative ways. We can talk about a lot of things that can bring about change in our education system, but we cannot run away from the fact that there is still teacher shortages around the world. Now, according to UNESCO, there are teacher shortages globally. And this is affecting the income levels of different countries alike. Now, it is said that in sub-Saharan Africa, 15 million additional teachers are needed. Yet we talk about new innovation. Yes, we talk about new approaches, but this is the fact that we cannot run away from. And this is caused by rapidly expanding school-age population and financial constraint that my colleague Siham has just mentioned earlier on. Now, Northern Africa and Western Asia and Southern Asia also face challenges in achieving teacher recruitment targets. Yet we need not to lose focus, but we also need to make sure that we are aware of the challenges that we are facing as a nation or as the global family. Now, 4.3 million and 4.5 million additional teachers are needed across those regions, respectively. Now, recruitment is starting at 70% of the 2016 objectives, which makes it unlikely that this target will be achieved by 2030 and beyond. Remember that this is what we need to achieve so that we can achieve the 2030 missions as global educators. We also need to achieve the target in sub-Sahara, which is even less likely since the current target stands at 88% of the 2016 objective as well. Through this, I just wanted to show that we can, yet there are challenges, but there are innovative ways that we can do, but there are still challenges that we are facing as the global family. Now, the internet, coming out of those challenges that I said we cannot run away from, has changed the world. And through the internet, we become globally competent, because through the internet, we are able to connect with each other. We are able to connect with the world. We are bringing about possibilities in education. We are interacting with information communication technology. We are able to reach out and bridge up the digital divide. We are also able to create with ICT. So now the internet has made it a point that global competence become a norm in everyone, and it changes our attitudes. It also changes the way in which we approach our lesson. Our teaching methodology changes because we are now able to be inclusive when we are using the internet as well. Now, these are our responsibilities as transformative teachers. We need to mobilize e-learning. We cannot run away from it. We also need to make sure that we promote the 21st century skills. We also need to make sure that we make use of learners' response system, like Professor Dr. Sihan El Kafafi had just mentioned earlier on. We need to promote virtual classroom. We also need to promote distance education. This is the 21st century. We need to stimulate ICT culture. We also need to revolutionize technology and promote hybrid and blended learning environment. This on its own makes sure that we become 21st century educators who are well-resourced, who are well-equipped, and who are up to standard with the needs and the demands of time. But now, we also need to make sure that we understand that there are barriers to a transformative educator, like Professor Dr. Sihan El Kafavi just mentioned earlier on. Absence or inadequacy of resources prevents us from becoming globally competent and becoming transformative educators. Public resistance to change becomes a problem. Pace and a scale of change becomes a problem. Reservation and accountability becomes a problem to us. Technical barriers is a problem to us. Professional resistance, like Professor El Kafafi had just mentioned earlier on, is a problem. Absence of capacity and organizational learning is also a problem. So these are the barriers that we also need to be aware of as transformative educators and as 21st century educators. Now, as I conclude, I want to say that as a result of the inequalities that exist nationally, regionally, and continentally, we will not arrive at reaching our target as we wish. However, the internet will optimize global collaboration. That will make it possible. But that does not mean we can reach our target at the same time because of the level of inequalities that exist globally. Now, automation and robotization will also create inequalities globally. Yet we are bringing robots in the classrooms. We are bringing robots in the workplace. That also will still continue to perpetuate inequalities because of lack of resources from various countries. Now, globalization will be far better than it is today in the future. It has improved, we are improving, and it will continue to improve despite the challenges as well. Now, we will still have teacher shortages in the next years if our governments cannot bring a new approach in recruiting so that every teacher become a global or a globally competent teacher, so that every teacher become what? A transformative thinker who is able to bring about design thinking in the classroom, who is able to ideate new methods, who is able to bring about innovative solutions, which is prototype, who is also able to test new ways out. Now, this is effect. Teaching will be better transformed and digitized so that we all become globally competent, so that every one of us is able to say we are the world and we will arrive ultimately at what we want despite all the challenges. May God bless you, and I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eric, for the informative session. We've learned a lot, and I do hope that we will take into use. Moving on with our program, we'll be going to the unveiling unveiling the leadership of the Global Teacher Forum by the Executive Director. Thank you. Over to you, Director.
Okay, quickly, you still permit me to take some time to do that while I prepare to unveil. Let me request that the executives that are around kindly on your video and signify yourself. I will be calling the names. Some of them were not around because there was a total blackout in their country, and I think we have only 3 persons around there out of the 5, if I'm sure. I think because of the network and the other thing like that. So I will be doing that. If you are the executive, part of the executive, please kindly